Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome. You are in the lab room. I, of course, am your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 7 in the National Football League. Indianapolis Colts hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. No young, fresh, and green. And so without A.J. Green in the lineup, I say that this Cincinnati Bengals team is overmatched and they're going to have a struggle each and every week he's not in the lineup. And boy, was that ever present in this game. And they were dominated, were the Cincinnati Bengals. And, last week at home, they still managed to score 37 points without A.J. Green in the lineup. So you're thinking, okay, maybe they can do a little something on the road. I didn't expect them to be able to win because this Colts team, is anybody in the AFC playing better football than this Colts team? I'm not saying. I'm just saying. After dropping the first 2 of the season, one of them being a controversial loss against the Eagles on Monday night, this team's reeled off 5 consecutive victories. Has the competition been the greatest? Nope, but this was one of the best teams they played all season. Look what they did to them. Let's talk about it. Not a lot here. We're going to breeze through this one so I can talk about these 2 teams at the end. In this game, no first downs for the Cincinnati Bengals in their first 3 possessions. Now, this would last a lot longer. We'll talk about it a little bit later on. But this speaks to the dominance of the Colts defense in this game. And again, it also speaks to the fact no young, fresh, and green A.J. Green in this game. Boy, are they missing Mr. Money Green in this lineup. You go on Indy, red zone issues. Because if there's one glaring weakness with this Indianapolis Colts team that scares me for them long term, it's their inability to take care of the football in the red zone. The one place you can't afford to turn it over. Hey, look, maybe the only other place that's even more damaging than turning it over in the opposing team's red zone is turning it over in your own red zone because that's giving up points immediately. Whether they settle for a field goal or they get in the end zone a play or 2 later, whatever the case may be, that might be the only damaging thing more than giving it up in the opposition's red zone because you're guaranteed points. Barring a missed field goal, a blocked field goal, or a turnover, you're getting points. But the the Colts, keep turning it over. And this happened last week, or 2 weeks ago, sloppy game at home versus the Ravens. You got the W, but you turned it over multiple times in the red zone. And I said, that's something that can't continue if this Colts team is going to ascend in the ranks of the AFC. And so I was looking for them to be a lot more careful and pay attention to the detail in the red zone, not turn it over. And what I got was more of the same from this Indianapolis Colts team. They got to take care of the football. You got a Bradshaw fumble. This is his 2nd time fumbling in the red zone. Remember against the Ravens, you were looking to close the door in that game. Ahmad puts it on the carpet. Look, I thought that was a Trent Richardson. I thought that was a T. Rich problem. Not an Ahmad Bradshaw problem. He's got to clean that up because that's the guy you're supposed to be able to trust the most with the football. And he's the one putting it on the carpet. And he's the one that you feel like, okay, when we need a bruising run from a guy that can make some things happen, we want to give it to Ahmad. He's the guy that you throw it to at the 10-yard line, makes a guy miss, runs somebody over, gets in the end zone. And he's the one putting it on the ground. So now that makes you take a second look at it and say, hey, wait a minute, man. Maybe we need to put T. Rich in the game. And so now you're going through these kind of tough decisions on who to play because sometimes T. Rich will put it on the ground. So it's, look, take care of football. All I'm saying is take care. Then Andrew tries to throw, look, normally, my man, Leon Hall. Normally, Leon Hall, short-handed. I mean, Andrew Luck threw this man a pick 6 in the red zone, and he didn't want it. He didn't want it. And if he catches it, I think he's gone. I don't think Andrew is able to cut him off in time, or I think Leon can give him a move and make him miss. Andrew's an athletic guy. He might have caught him, but he dropped it. And that should have been another red zone turnover. The Colts got to be better, man, in the red zone. That's their one Achilles heel. Right now, everything else looks really good. I mean, the corners are playing ball. Toller and Avonte Davis both playing some outstanding football. You're getting quality play out of your safeties. Hell, you're even starting to get a little bit of pressure. Let me find out you're getting pressure on the quarterback. To me, that was the biggest weakness on this defense was the fact that you couldn't get after the quarterback. You didn't have enough guys coming together as a collective unit because we know about you missing arguably your leader, definitely your unquestioned leader on the defense, but the guy that scared opposing offenses and had the ability at the snot, at the drop of the hat to get to the quarterback, Robert Mathis, not playing this season due to an injury. You can't get pressure on the quarterback. That was always my problem with this team. Now I look up, you're starting to get pressure, man. It's starting to be a collective effort where guys are getting to the quarterback. Bjorn Werner starting to get to the quarterback. Corey Reddick starting to get to the quarterback. All right, so Eric Walden starting to get to the quarterback. You're starting to get a little bit of pressure. Then the young fella you drafted in the third round this year starting to get to the quarterback. So you starting in Newsom, Jonathan Newsom, starting to get to the quarterback. So now you're starting to generate some pressure. You're stopping the run, got some big boys up front, and now all of a sudden, with those corners playing that lockdown D on the edges, safeties running around making some plays, you've gotten a lot of good play out of Mike Adams too. I'm been pleasantly surprised with him. All of a sudden, this defense is clicking on all cylinders. Offense just has this because look, Andrew's taking this team down the field, up and down the field. Andrew is balling out of control. T.Y. Hilton is starting to heat it up. I mean, this offense is really starting to rev it up. Stop turning the ball over in the red zone and you will be fine, Indianapolis. My gosh. So, T.Y. Hilton with a huge catch leads to a touchdown on the opening possession of the second quarter. It's now 10-0 in this game. Colts fumble in Cincy territory. This one was on a bad quarterback-running back exchange. The fumble was charged to Andrew Luck. I don't think Luck ever really got it in the belly of Trent Richardson on his play. It's on the carpet. Bengals recover. So this game could have got out of control much sooner than it did. But again, you're shooting yourself in the foot. If you could just stop with the turnovers in the opposing team's territory, this Colts team would be dangerous. But instead, the game remained close because you could not take care of the football. But it really didn't matter in this game because the Cincinnati Bengals were being strangled offensively, boy. The life was being strangled out of them. Andy Dalton could do nothing. In fact, he was getting Gio Bernard lit up. Oh my God, Vontae Davis put a charge into him. I mean, lit him up. Had him on one knee like, I need a second. I need a second. Gave him the business. And then Andy said, let me make sure that you are for good measure. He gave him another pass and got him blazed again. I'm like, Andy, what are you doing? And to me, that speaks to the ineptitude of this offense without young, fresh, and green, A.J. Green in the lineup. Everything in this game was short. Did you notice that? Everything was 5 to 7 yards within the line of scrimmage. Nothing was pushing the ball down the field. That's why they didn't have any first downs until literally the 1 minute mark left in the second quarter. They literally were about to go to the half with no first downs. Check this out. 8 possessions, 53 yards. 33 yards, excuse me. That's it. 8 possessions. Listen to what I'm saying to you. They didn't get a first down until 1 minute left in the second quarter. And that came, listen to this, that came on an Eric Walden ejection from the game because he touched the official. That's how they got their first down of the game. What? What in the world? 8 possessions. Listen to what I'm saying to you. Okay? 8 possessions. 0 for 8 on third down. 33 yards. So we're talking 24 plays. Okay? So 8 times 3. Let's do a little bit of math here. I'm not going to burst your brain. Okay? We're not going to bust the brain out here. But just bear with me for a second. 8 possessions. 33 yards. So that means 3 times 8. 3 and out, 8 times. You got 24 plays, 33 yards. Are you kidding me? I mean, wowzers. That's bad football, if I may say so myself. That wasn't all Indianapolis Colts defense. That was some bad execution. That was some bad play calling. That was bad football by the Cincinnati Bengals. They got dominated defensively. They were dominated offensively. The Colts were going up and down the field with the football. If they stopped turning it over, this game would have been out of control in the first half instead of it getting out of control in the second half, which Later on, second half, you get a Dwayne Allen touchdown. He runs away, shoddy tackling by the Cincinnati Bengals, runs down the sideline, scores a touchdown. Bob Bradshaw, much of the same, catches a pass, makes a guy miss, gets in the end zone. They end up winning this game 27-0 due to the Indianapolis Colts. Total domination. I'm glad the score ended up a shutout because that was indicative of how this game went. They beat the brakes off of the Cincinnati Bengals. And one has to wonder, without A.J. Green in the lineup, this may be something that teams take a look at and say, hey, if we take him away, just double team him the entire game, don't allow him to get off. If we just take him away, what does this offense do without him on the field? Now, it's much different to say take him away, kind of divulge two defenders to him because then you're taking a safety out of the game and a cornerback. It's much different just to have him on the field, even as a decoy, would help this offense out. But man, it was this bad. And this is exactly why I don't trust the Cincinnati Bengals. This is exactly why I feel like this is a team that can scare you but will never threaten to do anything in the AFC because of games like this. This is a team that's so inconsistent, it's not even funny. Meanwhile, the Indianapolis Colts, 5 in a row for this team. This was dominant right here. And I know that the Cincinnati Bengals were banged up, but this was dominant right here. This was AFC divisional weekend worthy right here. Okay? Now, my question is, can you rev it up a notch? When it's the Denver Broncos, we've seen you lose to them. When it's the New England Patriots, what do you do then? What happens? And you got the Patriots later on in the season. What happens when it's one of those teams? And those are the teams you got to get through to go where you want to go. So what happens when it's them? When it's San Diego? When it's one of these teams that come playoff time, they're going to be around. This Cincinnati Bengals team, they might be around come playoff time. They may not because that division that they're in is not a joke. So I don't know if this team will be around now, but I feel confident that you can handle this team. What about the big boys in the AFC? That's the question I have for the Colts. But, hey, another win, another notch under the belt, 5th in a row for this Colts team again. I'm just saying who's playing better football in the AFC than this Indianapolis Colts team. I just want to see, can you stop the turnovers, especially in the opposition's red zone? That's got to stop. And what happens when the big boys come to town or you got to go to their house? What happens then? Can you find a way to get over the hump? Let's call it what it is. Those are the teams that's going to stand in your way. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, they're going to stand in your way. Can you get over those obstacles and hurdles when the time comes for that? We will see. But another big win, 5-2 now for this Indianapolis Colts team. They're dangerous, and they're on the uptick in the AFC. That does it for Colts and Bengals. Total domination by the Indianapolis Colts. If you're the Cincinnati Bengals, this can't happen. Road, home, doesn't matter. A.J. Green, no A.J. Green. You can't lose 27-0. This was a poor display on offense and defense. They were outplayed in every facet of the game. You got to go back to the drawing board and say, what can we do to make sure that this never happens again? We will see what happens in the near future for the Cincinnati Bengals team because they have got to play much better than this if they want to not only remain relevant in their division, but remain relevant in the AFC conference as a whole. That's going to do it for Colts and Bengals. I thank you for joining me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down week number 7 in the National Football League. I've got plenty more games to break down, so come back and join. See you in a bit. Like the content? Want more? Sub up.